Since their first and a final time in domestic football that these players will line up alongside David Silva in blue. It's been slightly longer than 10 years now for El Mago, but after lockdown and restart, his Premier League career with City comes to an end today. Norwich, the visitors to the Etihad, already relegated, of course, and with City secured in second. The drama may well be elsewhere, and we will be reflecting both that and indeed building up to City's final Premier League game of the season with our guests in the We're Not Really Here studio this afternoon. We have alongside me Hugh Ferris, Michael Brown and Chloe Kelly. Welcome to you both. And Natalie Pavaleka first. Good afternoon to you, Natalie. You have the Manchester City line-up today for their final Premier League game of the season.
I do. Thank you very much, Hugh. And yes, Pep Guardiola has made 143 changes to his starting 11 in the top flight season this year, the most by any manager in a single Premier League campaign. So today he goes in with one change. So your team for today is Ederson. And of course, Ederson is possibly on track to pick up the Golden Glove this year. He currently has 15 clean sheets alongside Nick Pope from Burnley. Your defence is Aymeric Laporte, Joao Cancelo holds his place at left back, Eric Garcia and Kyle Walker. Moving into midfield, we have Kevin De Bruyne, and we of course know that Kevin De Bruyne is on 19 assists for the season so far, just one off equaling Thierry Henry's record of 20. So we're all hoping for 2 assists for Kevin today. Also in midfield is Rodri, and then the man himself for his last ever Premier League game, it is David Silva, and this is his 309th Premier League appearance for City. We also have Phil Foden, Raheem Sterling, and Raheem himself is got just 2 goals short of 100 in all competitions for City. He's currently also 4 goals off being joint top Premier League scorer of the season, of course, depending on the other fixtures today. And up front is Gabriel Jesus.
Natalie, thank you very much indeed. First of all, welcome back to Michael Brown. For the first time, City's first signing of the summer, Chloe Kelly. Chloe, good afternoon to you. Your first impressions, first of all, of our little surroundings, and also the prospect of watching behind closed doors Premier League football, because I think it's been strange for these two. So how much are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, really excited. My first time at the Etihad Stadium, so absolutely delighted to be here and watch the guys out there today. And what a pleasure to watch David Silva's final game for Manchester City. You know,
if you shout, it carries. So, you know, just be careful what you say and when you say it. Michael, your impressions of that team, as Nat says, just one change. And interesting, particularly because David Silva captains the side. And what is, yes, that final Premier League appearance. Hopefully not the final appearance here at the Etihad, but final Premier League appearance.
Well, hopefully not. I mean, it's been a remarkable career, and he's done it with such style, hasn't he, and grace, and he set such a great example. I'm delighted to be here for this game, to actually see him grace it. I'm looking forward to that. But again, for me, it's a really, really strong Manchester City side. We're all looking forward to the Real Madrid game, and we're saying, is Pep Guardiola showing his hand a little bit? Is this what we might see? As you said, only one change. So really interested to see how the formations work, how the little movements work. Is there anything going to be different? We're planning ahead for that game.
Yeah, there's a 2-week gap. Really strange to have a 2-week gap ahead of such a crucial Champions League knockout game. And you have to fear for Norwich if things go well for Manchester City in the early stages of this game. 97 Premier League goals already scored. And talking of having a striker alongside us, if City do get an early goal today, Chloe, how much do you fear for Norwich? Because the way that they played against Watford City, get that goal and everything just kind of swims away, and it's almost about how many?
Yeah, definitely. I think City are a great goal-scoring team, and at the minute, no one can stop them with their goal-scoring ability. And I just think Norwich today, if they do get that early goal, they will struggle a little bit, yeah.
And Michael, as I mentioned, there's a few other records that players could get today. As a former player yourself, do you think that Ederson will have the Golden Glove to start with on his mind, or are in these sort of individual things that we get as fans get really excited about? As players, do you think they're aware of them? Would you have been aware of them?
Very much so. The players are aware, because as well it's well documented, isn't it, that they can see it's another target, it's a personal achievement. But I must say, with these players, they generally want the team's success first, and and the rest come is fantastic. He'll want that, the Golden Glove. I seen actually Nick Pope last week. He thought he had a good opportunity. He was a bit apprehensive whether Ederson could do it, and hopefully we'll see. And it's a great game for him to get that. So great awards with Kevin De Bruyne as well. We've got Player of the Years, and so it's such an exciting time. But ultimately, these are so professional that they're looking forward to that Real Madrid game.
I love the fact that you were the first person to bring up any players of the year. We will have a conversation about Manchester City's player of the year a little bit later on. But we just mentioned Ederson, didn't we? So let's hear from the man himself. And after we hear from Ederson, we'll meet our newest guest and get to know Chloe Kelly. But here's Ederson.
Ederson, a clean sheet today gives you a chance to claim the Golden Glove for the season. Is that a target for you?
Claro. É momento especial, mas o mais importante é o time jogar bem hoje, em busca da vitória, terminar o campeonato bem, fazer uma boa preparação para o jogo mais importante que temos daqui a 2 semanas, que é contra o Real Madrid.
Yeah, of course, it would be something special for me, having another clean sheet and get the Golden Glove, but I think more important than that is that the team plays well and we win and we finish in a good way, and also to prepare the next game and the last game against Real Madrid in 2 weeks.
Yeah, with Europe still alive for you, does this become an essential part of the training for the next game?
Claro. Sabemos que vai ser um jogo muito difícil, porque no primeiro jogo esse time causou muita dificuldade para o nosso time, acabamos tendo a derrota. Apesar de eles já ter descido de liga, mas sabemos que vai ser um jogo muito difícil, que a equipe deles vai querer terminar o campeonato bem também. Mas eu acho que o time está preparado, treinamos bem, preparamos bem e vamos em busca da vitória hoje.
Yeah, of course, it's a good preparation, and I think Norwich is going to be a difficult obstacle for us. They beat us in the game there at Norwich, and even if they are relegated already, I'm sure they are going to want to play a good game and be a good opponent to us. So we'll need to be focused and be mentally prepared, and also to help us to prepare the game in the Champions League.
How much improving do you still need to do before the Champions League? Is it about finding consistency again today?
Sim, com certeza. Temos que manter o ritmo, a concentração. Desde o momento que não foi possível mais ser campeão no campeonato, estávamos focados na FA Cup e na Champions League. E é claro que a equipe tem que se mostrar bem, tem que se preparar bem, porque é um jogo que é decidido nos mesmos detalhes. Mas eu acho que a equipe está preparada e espero que a gente possa ter um bom resultado hoje, fazer uma preparação para conseguir a vitória contra o Madrid.
Yeah, we need to keep the same condition and the same way we play and be really focused. And even when we couldn't win the league in the end because Liverpool left the trophy, we were focusing preparing our games for the FA Cup and the Champions League. So I think it's going to be good for us to keep mentally focused and try to maintain the same consistency we have towards that game.
Good luck today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Ederson going into the game today, and as we keep saying here, 15 clean sheets so far this season for Ederson, joint with Nick Pope, who's obviously plays for Burnley, and they are playing Brighton at home today, so we will be keeping an eye on that as well. Not that I want to be, cheering a Brighton goal, but I want it for Ederson, obviously. Now, in the studio joining us today, as you know, is our new signing for Manchester City women. It is Chloe Kelly, so we want to give Chloe a big, huge welcome to the We're Not Really Here studio, and also to Manchester City. So, Chloe, you're not the first women's player we've had in the studio this season. We of course had Jill Scott, who was in with us on Tuesday. Did she give you any tips, any sort of suggestions on how to handle us or how to do well?
No, she just said to me, it's a comfortable environment and just relax, you'll be fine. And yeah, Jill's a great character, so I'm sure she was bubbly sitting on these sofas. Welcomed me well into the team.
Yeah, she was fab, and she was with Caroline Weir, of course, as well. So it was great to be chatting to them. We heard a lot about the sort of preparation that the women's team are going through this year. But for yourself, you've joined us from Everton. You had 3 years at Everton. What is it that has, first of all, attracted you to Manchester City?
Manchester City is a massive club, and as soon as I knew that they were interested, I was straight on the phone to my agent and said, this is where I want to be. As soon as I had the call with Gareth, it changed my mind. I was just like, City's where I want to be now. And yeah, what a great club to be at, and I'm absolutely excited to be on the pitch for the girls and make my debut for the team.
which will hopefully be quite soon as well, because you guys are, of course, back in full-time training now. How has that been for you, going from sort of Everton to a lockdown period? So, of course, your contract ended at Everton, and then to be training in lockdown and suddenly back. How have you coped with it all?
Yeah, crazy times. I think just training by yourself in lockdown, it's just not the same as being with the team. So it's just getting that self-motivation to get out there on the pitch and get your running done. So when you get back in with the team, you're not miles behind. And yeah, it was very weird, especially coming into the club in lockdown, having my first meet with Gareth over the phone and then actually meeting him in person for the first time at a COVID test. Like, you wouldn't believe like the experience that I've had. But yeah, now back in with the team, it's great. I've fitted in really well with the group, and it's been a very easy group to come into. I think they're great girls, a mix of young, experienced players, and yeah, coming into the team, I've had a warm welcome.
Of course, you're an England international as well, so you'll know so many of the team already, because City now have 10 regular England internationals on the books, which is insane. Of course, you know, Steph Houghton, England captain, and Jill Scott, who has the record for England appearances. Is that easier for you then to be fitting into the squad? And also, should that cause extra excitement for England fans, knowing that there is so many of you that are training together constantly?
Yeah, definitely. I think that was a massive decision of mine to come to this team where they had so many England internationals, and young players really set the standard here at City. I think the players that have come through and really set their goal in the WSL, it's been great to see how far they've come since coming to City, and that for me was just going to train with the best players day in, day out. So when you go to the likes of England camps, it's just easier to fit in. So yeah, definitely a massive reason why I came to Manchester City. Big players and also young players. So yeah, the mix is great.
So some of the quotes around you and your talent that you have, one of them that I read was that you're one of the brightest young talents in the English game. I mean, that's pretty high praise. Do you feel, does that put any sort of additional pressure onto you?
Yeah, a little bit of pressure, yeah, but pressure's always a good thing. I think it makes you go out there and work a little bit harder to just do well for the club, do well for yourself, and just show everyone what you're capable of. But yeah, a little bit of pressure comes with it. But yeah, I enjoy having pressure, and it's a good thing.
And you hit the headlines in women's football last year because you scored 9 goals for Everton in just 12 appearances. And a lot of those we're seeing on the screen now are sort of goal of the season, long-range contenders. We had, as I say, Caroline Weir was in on for the previous game, who had that incredible goal in the Derby game that in fact won the women's goal of the season. Seeing some of your long-range shots there,
that second one, Chloe was like, hang on, stop talking now, I want to watch this again.
Yeah, I was just watching it. I think I know the commentary on top of my head now, so I was just like playing the commentary in my head as well.
I think there's going to be a bit of a challenge now between you and Caroline for goal of the season contenders for next year. Are you up for it?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of players in the team that can score wonder strikes from outside the box. Georgia Stanway won them as well. So, yeah, a few goal of the season contenders next season as well, hopefully.
You'd have been proud of one of those, Brownie, eh?
I've never hit one of those like that. What a strike that is. Fantastic, right in the top corner. I was actually surprised you took it on. No hesitation. Do you like that? You just get your shots away wherever you can? Yeah,
I think I like to mix it up. I like to dribble at players and beat them 1v1, but I think I've got a strike in me as well. So that this season, I think the one before it was only about like a minute before. So I think I had the confidence to that, and then the ball came at me. I was just screaming for it, and then as soon as it hits your boot, I think you know it's going in sometimes.
It happened once to me.
So you remember it then? The point is well
Come on,
made.
it wasn't that bad, mate. It wasn't that bad. I got a couple, but yeah, some fantastic strikes. Hopefully you get a few more and set it off really, really quickly.
Thank you very much. Yeah, hopefully many goals in a City shirt.
Yeah, we're really excited, really excited to see you get on the pitch now. Just quickly, tell us a little bit so that the fans get a chance to know you a little bit. Where are you from? Where are you living just now?
I'm from West London, Ealing in West London, so I'm a London girl, but yeah, up north is where I've been for the last few years, so I'm living in Liverpool at the minute still, but yeah, I'm excited to see what Manchester's capable of.
What was that gas, Brownie?
In Liverpool. I didn't think she was going to say it. I thought she might have just changed it slightly. She said, not Liverpool.
I live
She's
in West
looking to
Cheshire.
move. Yeah, just a little bit different.
I live along the 62 somewhere. But thank you so much for joining us today. A big, huge welcome to Manchester City. We're so excited to see what you can do. And the Women's Super League will hopefully be getting underway in the start of September. I think lovely. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Can't wait, Chloe. And Chloe will be with us for the rest of the show, and we're not really here. And I'm fascinated the fact that you've got the number 9 shirt, because if there's anything any striker has any opportunity, gets that number 9 shirt. I'm just thinking, yeah, before a few more goals like that one well, 2 that we just showed you there. Good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much.
To you, Chloe. She'll be sticking around, as will Michael Brown and Natalie Pavlek, of course. But we want to give you the chance to hear from Pep Guardiola. He's been chatting pre-match ahead of this one against Norwich.
Pep, with 2 huge European games ahead, what do you want your team to show you today?
To win the game today. This is the decision.
Just that, though? Or are we looking for more?
No, for today. For today.
And David Silva has been made captain
Yeah.
for his final Premier League appearance. Is this a proud moment for him?
Should be. We are proud. I think all City fans, they are too. So what David has done in this decade with more than 4 Premier League titles, so it's a lot, with a lot of other cups, and especially the consistency in the way he played. So he has to be so proud.
And it's Norwich's last Premier League game for a while. What are you expecting from them?
Well, as a team, always play good. They were not enough consistent in the box, but the quality of the show, the courage to play, was good. We suffered him when we played there in the beginning of the league, yeah, it's the final game, and I think they are going to prepare for the next season in the Championship.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And off goes Pep very quickly. Those pre-match Premier League pressers that they have 3 questions. They have to do it quickly, and Pep knows very much that he's going to be out of there at the first sign that somebody's finishing off with him. That's Pep Guardiola. We have an opportunity over the course of the next few minutes to hear from Pep Guardiola and his thoughts about the whole of the season that is coming to an end, domestically at least, for Manchester City today. So that's to come. Don't go away. We're Not Really Here continues up until kickoff. Well, let's just talk, shall we, about the setup to today's game, which brings into focus what happened against Watford last time out. And how similar, Michael, do you see the challenges that City faced against Watford and against Norwich? Because actually what Watford didn't know at the time, obviously, is that Villa were going to go and win at Arsenal and really shake things up in the bottom of the Premier League.
Well, I think it's a different game because of the tension you had at Watford, and a manager change, Hayden Mullins coming in there and Pearson leaving on such short periods. And I thought it was a real clinical performance from Manchester City. They were excellent from the start, and Raheem Sterling yet again getting on the score sheet very, very early, which is a great performance, and it comes from Kevin De Bruyne. And the finish, I mean, I'm going to give Kyle Walker the credit for the pass, and some people are saying was it or was it not, but I think he picked him out. And I was just saying to Chloe before, what a finish to take it, on his back foot, just literally no backlift, and the strike into the far corner was a fantastic finish.
Well, Chloe's thinking, hang on a minute, that was only about 14 yards out. What about 28 yards? That's more my style. But City, once they get ahead, Chloe, against a team in Watford, who at that time were outside of the bottom 3. Later on that day, they went into the bottom 3. But they're fighting for their lives. And so how demoralising must it be for Watford if City do get 1-2 ahead, because they just feel like it might be beyond them?
Yeah, you look at that front 3 and you think there's just so many goals in it, and they're so clinical in front of goal. It's just, as soon as they get that one, it's just, when's the next coming, really? So, yeah, so clinical in front of goal, and so hard to play against a team like City that are so clinical.
Of course, that Laporte goal there coming from the Kevin De Bruyne free kick, which gave Kevin De Bruyne an assist, which we all very much celebrated here. Celebrated the assist perhaps a little more than the goal. But Kevin De Bruyne's assist... 19 so far this season. We've talked a lot about the fact that he's going for this 20, equaling Henry, 21 to beat Henry. Is a chance today, Michael?
Well, I certainly hope so. You look in the build-up as well as Phil Foden's goal, that lovely sliding pass inside of the central defender as Sterling comes on. There's Phil Foden again getting another goal. He's getting a little habit of it. But going back to Kevin De Bruyne, I mean, I was asked in the week I did a prediction with many other pundits who my player of the year was, what I thought about Kevin De Bruyne. We mentioned assists, goals, and I think his work rate's been exceptional, going back ways as well, of nicking passes, and he's really took on that sort of leadership since Vincent Kompany in that dressing room and the overall role, and he's a wonderful player and he's playing with great confidence now.
Pretty much 100% of the evidence we've seen so far on the show, Chloe, of your goals suggests that you don't need assists because you just create your own chances. But how important is it to have not only a player who can technically provide that assist, but the confidence that you have in that player to play the right ball so that your runs, for example, are pretty much always going to be sensitively dealt with by the midfielder, for example?
Yeah, the assists, he's the whole package really. The assists, the goals, this set-piece specialist as well. So I think just having that behind you, I think as a forward, you just know if you make that run, the ball's coming to you. So it is great to play with someone like De Bruyne, because you just know if you make that run, the ball's coming to you and you just finish it off. It's on the plate for you to finish. So Raheem, obviously, hopefully the assist comes from De Bruyne today, and Raheem can get his in there too.
Yeah, definitely. And Raheem as well, we saw what I loved about the Watford game as well is when it was the penalty and Raheem just grabbed the ball and he was having that penalty. You know, even with Kevin De Bruyne on the pitch, he was having that penalty. Are you a penalty taker? Will you be grabbing the ball, or have you talked about it yet with your teammates?
Not really a penalty taker myself, but I think there's a lot of set-piece specialists in the women's team already. So yeah, hopefully free kicks sometimes I'll be working on them in training, but penalty, I think Steph's great at them, so I'll leave them to Steph.
Yeah, you can have an argument on the pitch about that if you like to at any point that you have a free kick. So then, as promised, we've got an opportunity to hear from Pep Guardiola over the course of our show today before kick-off against Norwich at 4 o'clock UK time. So here is part one of Pep's review of the season, if you like, and he starts by talking about a very special night against the champions.
How do you reflect on that gap? Does it feel like that this season?
We lost no game, so the game plan or the way we play was really good. Example is Southampton, so we shoot more than 26 on target, we concede few. And but it's not able to win the games. It happened many times. It happened. I remember Tottenham at home, Tottenham away. Many games like we were good. We create a lot of chances, but we were not able to win. And football is who score more goals. It's a business. This is not. We try to play good to create 26 chances. What do you have to do? Play better to create 35, or play better to create 40, and try to win the games.
I mean, in all of your experiences as a manager, do you get seasons and runs like that where you think your team are playing really well and it's just the rub of the green, that slice of luck?
Most of the times, always I believe that the team who is still now who plays better. And football is the people say football is nice because sometimes the team who don't deserve to win. I don't say for Southampton, please. But the team who don't win win the game. Who win the game would play not good. So I think it would be nice in live example on football that win the team who deserve. And normally, who create more chances, you are closer to win the game. That is always I believe and still believe. I'm fully convinced of this. That as much you play better and as much you create more chances at the opponents and as much you concede few to the opponents, you are closer to win the games than the other ones. But football is the only game that what you sometimes you deserve is not related that win or lose the game.
So there is David Silva, one of those players that Manchester City in generations future will perhaps either lament that they didn't get an opportunity to see or celebrate the fact that they were here and old enough at the time that the 10 years that David Silva spent at Manchester City took place in front of their very eyes. An extraordinary career for a man who says he would not change a thing about his decade, plus a few extra weeks at Manchester City. So let's have a little conversation, shall we, about what City's captain of the day, and really captain of a lot of pretty much every day that he plays, Michael. Give us a sense about not only his contribution statistically, because it is underestimated, because he goes about his business so quietly, but in the way that Manchester City have played for a majority of that decade, how crucial is it to have a player like David Silva? We just extolled the virtues of Kevin De Bruyne, who's a different kind of player. But David Silva, how crucial, how much of a fulcrum, if you like, is he to the way that City play?
Well, I think he's one of those with exceptional talent, and he's been here through a transitional period for Manchester City where they've developed into a wonderful style of playing, and you've had to have somebody like David Silva who'll be able to unlock, show the others how you do it, how he receives the ball on the half turn with people around him. Really, that's underestimated how good that is, and any player will tell you the top players are comfortable with a player just next to them. They just use their body, take it one way. He sees passes, and he does it in fantastic, as I said, the correct way about the game. Like World Cup finals, I can't say enough good things about his mental state, his application, and ultimately his ability. And it's just been a remarkable 10 years, which has been part of the future of Manchester City, because he has now set the tone. He's showed the others how to do it, and just look at these clips now that he's been involved in. It's fantastic how it's really touched a heart, in his heart, Manchester City. It's there for many years to come, and hopefully he gets a wonderful send-off at some point. But he'll really be upset at the end of this. We've just seen him smiling, but I think he'll have a little lump in his throat. He'll know it's coming to an end, and he won't want it to.
Just quickly on that give and go, which is a phrase that we hear lots of coaches say. We don't necessarily, as laymen, like to, I include myself as one of them, understand how important it is. Give, go, and also just turn the possession around and keep that tempo going. Because you're a midfielder, yeah. It's important that you have somebody touching the ball almost once or at the most twice every time they're in possession.
Well, I've played against him on several occasions, and you think you're going to get close to him, and when you do get close, he always has a one-touch pass. When you don't, he knows to take two. And ultimately, this is as a ball travelling so quickly, he can change that tone. He knows, he understands where there's an out. He takes the ball another way. And as you've just said, a way to pass for a 1-2 awareness round the corners, a little give and go, as we've said. But you need the players around you, and you need that understanding on the touch of the pass and the weight of it. He's got it to in abundance.
We'll come to Natalie in just a moment, because she's had a long-standing argument with her City Square colleague, Danny Jackson, about who the greatest City player is of all time. It just so happens that Danny thinks David Silva and Natalie thinks Sergio Aguero. So we're going to put her on the spot to try and make the case against herself, if you like. But Chloe, 11 major trophies for David Silva, 4 Premier League titles. Of the 308 games he's played in the Premier League for Manchester City, 213 of them he has won, 93 assists. I was saying it's not just about the statistics, but there's a whole load for you to chew over.
Yeah, I think a player with incredible talent, and just one that is so consistent on the pitch, and one that really sets the standard for young players, especially like Phil Foden, to be playing with such a player like David Silva. It's great for him coming through at City, and just really now he's got that to work off, and to train with a top player like that is unbelievable. And to get that little experience from him, but taking it in and just really learning small things that he does day in, day out, it will be massive for Phil Foden in the future as well.
Quite the choice to have, to decide whether you think David Silva or Sergio Aguero is the greatest player ever to play for Manchester City, certainly in your lifetime, Natalie. But when David leaves, it will just be Sergio of the 2012 team that are still here. But can you make a case against yourself?
I mean,
I'm looking forward to this.
See how many twists and turns she does.
It's just an incredible honour to have 2 players of such pedigree that we can have a discussion of which one is best. And it is a discussion that I always enjoy having. Danny and I have it tongue in cheek, but it is a genuine pleasure. And sometimes he'll say something and I'll go, no, you're right. And sometimes I'll say something and he'll go, no, you're right. So, it's one that I'm happy to not be right about, but it's just an absolute joy that we've witnessed 10 years of him. And we have to remember, of course, today's his last Premier League game, hopefully not his last game. Hopefully there is 4 more games for him. And for a man, like Michael said, has pretty much won everything that you can do in your footballing career. There's just one little trophy that's missing for him. And what a delightful, what a just send-off if it would be for him if he was lifting the Champions League trophy at the end of the season.
It's a strange one, but my favourite stat is the fact that he has completed nearly 19,000 passes for Manchester City just in the Premier League. It's an extraordinary thing. He may well be your greatest Premier League player of all time for Manchester City. He might be your club greatest player of all time for Manchester City, but it might also be your player of the season for Manchester City. Let's hear from Kevin Parker from the official supporters club to tell you about how you can make that vote.
Votes have been cast and counted for this season's Player of the Year. The top 3 are Kevin De Bruyne, Riyad Mahrez and David Silva. A great top 3 for you to choose from. Kevin De Bruyne, the best midfield player in Europe, with 19 assists and 11 goals in the Premier League, helping to break the Premier League assist record. Riyad Mahrez, winner of the African Cup of Nations with Algeria, and probably the best first touch in Premier League football. And David Silva. What can you say about David Silva? The finest player to ever wear the City shirt. So, get your votes in, enjoy, and good luck.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much there to Kevin Parker, who's, of course, General Secretary of the Official Supporters Club. And as Kevin said, we are down to our last 3 in the official player of the season vote awards. And these awards, they're chosen by you. And just a little tongue-in-cheek reminder that you are choosing the player that was the best footballer on the pitch, just the pitch, the best footballer for Manchester City. We hugely appreciate all of the amazing community work that they do. But this vote is just about on the pitch. So you can choose from Kevin De Bruyne, David Silva and Riyad Mahrez. And to do that, you go to mancity.com/citizens and you cast your vote. Best player on the pitch.
Not entirely sure any tongue was in any cheek at that point. A fairly serious point, I would imagine, from Natty. Just quickly, if you were to... Chloe, if you were to vote one of those 3, it's a really appalling thing to put you on the spot. I'm sorry, but see if you can muster up a vote for one of those 3.
I'm going to go with David Silva.
David Silva?
Yeah, final season for Manchester City, and what a way to finish it. Yeah, definitely David Silva.
Natalie, would you agree?
I think sentimentally, David Silva, it would be delightful, but I think the best player in the world this year has been Kevin De Bruyne. I think the best footballer in the world this year has been Kevin De Bruyne, certainly in the Premier League, easily. The best midfielder, easily. And, you know, for anybody to vote otherwise in this or any other vote would be ridiculous.
Again, I don't know where that tongue's gone. Rip it out of the cheek. Michael, would you agree with either one of the points of view? I'm just going to go for Riyad Mahrez so that there's not some sort of dust-up.
Riyad Mahrez.
Thank you.
No, literally, I'm amazed by what David Silva's done over the course of his career. I think he's going to get a lot of rewards, a lot of recognition of what he's done. But Kevin De Bruyne, for me, has raised the bar yet again. His level keeps getting better. I'm saying, Chloe, do you know, you'd love to play with him, wouldn't you? The deliveries, the quality of his passing, the range of passing that he's got. I just think he's got everything. So, for me, Kevin De Bruyne.
There we go. Chloe, you're very welcome, but you've been outvoted.
2-1.
By the time you leave, don't worry, you'll be converted, I promise you. We'll be back here in the studio in just a moment, but we want to bring you part 2. This is Pep Review of the Season.
Rodri, Foden. De Bruyne, oh, that's beautiful. Here's Foden. He scores sumptuously. That is Manchester City at their sharp, dark best.
Pep, good to see you. What were you so pleased about the performance that night?
Well, it was a bit unexpected. Win 4-0 the champion. So, yeah, it was in the beginning tough. All the game was tough. They have his chances, we had ours, and we won.
And the way you won, the way you did it.
We played quite similar good in Anfield. The last time we were incredible courage, and we played good there too. But maybe what happened in those games is what happened in the last times when we play against them in Champions League 2 seasons ago when the league's there. 3 shots on target, 3 goals. All the time it happened there when we play against them. And today this happened in the opposite side.
Is that the fine margin sometimes when 2 great teams come together like that?
Football is boxes. And they are so good in these departments. And sometimes we are good too. Not all the games, but sometimes we are good too.
Jesus, Foden, Phil Foden, Raheem Sterling, 2-0 City. They're playing some smooth stuff here. It's a lovely watch. It's a lovely take from Raheem Sterling.
Jurgen said after the game that Manchester City proved a point. Was that in your mind at all? Did you feel that afterwards?
In that game, we were happy. The reality, they are much stronger than us in this season. They were. So in one game, everything can happen, but in knockout stage, that can happen. But in the league, it is the most important trophy this season, more than anyone else, to show who was the best team during 11 months. And I said, yeah, this one now, like we didn't win the Premier League, like this is not confusing for the future. So Liverpool won the most important title. The gap is too big. We make mistakes and they didn't do it.
And if Norwich City face anything like the firepower of Manchester City producing in that game against Liverpool, then they are potentially in a bit of trouble. But it has to be said that there is a context that we should provide, which is that earlier on in the season, that man, Teemu Pukki, scored on a day which at the time was the newly promoted Norwich. An extraordinary 3-2 victory over Manchester City. And Chloe, that will be, at least in Norwich's mind, a little bit, because back at the beginning of the season, when they had all of that enthusiasm about being a promoted club, they were champions, they had an extraordinary ride back into the Premier League, and they beat City as well. It's not been brilliant since then, but at that moment it was very special for Norwich.
Yeah, definitely. Beating a team like Manchester City, it would have been massive for them, especially at that stage of the season. But I think today also, like, they'll be coming into it with nothing to really play for. So they'll be coming in with a bit of confidence. But yeah, I think Manchester City today will just, well, once they get going, it'll be great to see them in front of goal. But I think they've got great young players, and to finish the season well will be interesting for them, and that's what they'll be trying to do today.
Yeah, it will give them a bit of confidence knowing that they beat Manchester City in the first outing, but they're very, very fragile. That enthusiasm now, Hugh, seems to be a long, long way away. They've tried to play in the correct way and keep that squad, but only in the last game against Burnley, they see the frustrations there. 2 red cards in the first half. It was always going to be difficult. Burnley went on to win the game comfortably, obviously, but you know, that's the type of thing they're up against now, and they know that if they're nowhere near at their top of their game, they're going to be in for a real long day at the Etihad.
And of course, this Norwich game happened so early in the season, beating us, who were of course the reigning champions. Do you think that this could have affected their season, perhaps in a negative way? I'm thinking, did it give them an overly sense of confidence that they had beaten the champions so early in the season? And do you think it's also perhaps shielded them a little bit from, because often when you hear Norwich, you hear about them being a great footballing team, that they're at least trying to play football. I'm wondering if that kind of goes back to the fact that they beat us and it has kind of shielded them a little bit.
Well, I think for me it gave them a little bit more confidence, a little bit more belief, as it was just Hugh was saying, that the enthusiasm lasted that much longer. Where when you know you're beat, you know you're relegated, you know you're so far away, and it come evident early on that was going to be the case. It was a great day for Norwich City, but you've got to understand their recruitment policy, the way they've gone about it. They've kept the money, they've bought as if they're going to get relegated, that they're in a good position to sell some players and to come back with a real challenge next season. So you have to respect their model, that they're doing it in the correct way, because many years ago they didn't and lost a lot of money, but ultimately they've been way off the pace.
Yeah, it's all very well having a model that suggests that you might go down. It's just that they've gone down a little bit more meekly than they would have liked. Since that win over Manchester City, only 15 points Norwich have picked up, and they've lost every game since the restart. In fact, they've lost the last 9 in a row. But this is the 11 that will take to the field against Manchester City. And just 20 minutes' time or so, Natalie has it for us.
Yep, and it's a hugely changed team for Norwich following those 2 red cards in their previous game. And they're also suffering from 5 players that possibly would have started that are all out injured as well. So a fairly makeshift 11 for Norwich today. But the starting 11 is in goal. It's Tim Krul. Then it's Lewis, Godfrey, Aarons, Zimmerman, Stiepermann, McLean, Cantwell, Hernandez, Roop, and Timo Pukki.
Yeah, Pukki and Cantwell haven't been playing that much, have they, recently? But they both come into the side, and both were scorers against Manchester City that day at Carrow Road. A very, very famous day for them. But, of course, yes, since then, it has not been great for Norwich. Relegated as the team bottom of the table. But for Manchester City, well, things continue. And they think about, yes, what's to come in a couple of weeks' time in the Champions League. But we're also taking the opportunity to reflect back on the Premier League season. And we mentioned that Norwich have been woeful since that restart. But there's been one particular player for Manchester City who has really shone through. And in part 3 of our review with Pep Guardiola, it's time to talk about Phil Foden.
Phil Foden since the restart. At the age of 20, all the players you've coached, Pep, how excited are you by his development? With that performance again against Liverpool was outstanding.
Yeah, I think not just against Liverpool. In all the games he played, he was really good. And all credit for him. For his behavior in the training session, when he plays and he doesn't play. His mood is always to improve. He loves to play football, always with, you see him on the pitch, is always with the ball. What he takes right now is what he works, pay off, what he has done, and it's nice. So the future is in his hands, in front of him, and it depends absolutely on him.
Yeah, the Stockport Iniesta, as we so lovingly call him. Phil Foden. Is he the man that will be picking up the place of David Silva next season? And we sincerely hope so. A cracking season so far for the England international, hopefully, certainly under 21s international. And with the Euros ahead next season, Phil Foden is certainly going to have his eyes on the prize. But from one young England player to another. Chloe, how easy is it for young players like Phil Foden and, of course, yourself when you're breaking into such established sides as Manchester City is?
Yeah, I think it is difficult to get there, and I think once you get there, it's about staying there, and I think just putting in extra work day in, day out, but also willingness to learn from the more experienced players in the group. And yeah, I think it shows that he's learning from the likes of David Silva, and just being in and around that environment, just picking up small things to add to his game will be massive in the future for him. And yeah, the experience of playing with them players will be inevitable for his future.
Yeah, I always say that when there was questions around Phil Foden, should he have gone out on loan to a championship side, I always said, but why? When you are training week in, week out with players like David Silva and Kevin De Bruyne, surely that is, Michael, far greater experience than you're ever going to pick up by perhaps going to a championship team on loan.
Well, I think it's been a journey that we've all been fascinated watching with Phil Foden, about that loan issue, about what he plays, his training load. I think either way, I think if he'd have gone out on loan to a championship club, actually another Premier League club, there was many Premier League clubs who would have took him, they would have guaranteed that he played. So for me, that would have also been a fantastic development. But Pep Guardiola then could train him each day, he could play with the other players. And I honestly believed when he didn't go out on loan that Pep Guardiola would have expected him to play many, many minutes, because he wouldn't expect him just to sit and not be part of it, just to learn on the training ground. Because as Chloe will tell you, there's nothing better than those match days, and you can train. And I think as a young player, and just listening to Chloe there, and I think what I would say is you look at the young players who will keep working every single day, have that work ethic. When they don't get picked, over a period of time, they just keep coming, and all of a sudden they build the trust. with the teammates, and ultimately then it's time. You can't leave them out any longer, and I think, you know, he's almost at that stage. But when we're saying about a replacement for David Silva, he's not been playing in those positions. He's been playing higher up on the right-hand side. So, you know, will he drop back in next year? So it's great little squad decisions for Pep yet again.
Yeah, I suppose the idea is bring in Bernardo Silva so that it frees up that area that we thought that Bernardo Silva might play for a long period of time. But it's interesting, isn't it, Chloe? Because Euro 2021, as it is now, it's been delayed a year. There's been all sorts of conversations about Premier League players who might benefit from that. Is Phil Foden one of those who might benefit from the fact that in a year's time, I mean, he's played 10 games since the restart. He's scored 5 goals. He's been a first-team regular. Add another season onto that, he's surely going to be at least in that reckoning.
Yeah, another season of development is the way he'd probably look at it now, is what can I do in that year to put me in that squad and put me in that starting 11. So it will be a positive mindset for him, I guess, and just seeing that as another year of development. And I think just learning under Pep and just really exciting for him to have another year and just see where he can go in that year. He's adding goals to his game and he's really clinical in front of goal at the minute. So yeah, it's exciting times for him.
Do we apply that to you as well for the Olympics?
Yeah, definitely. I looked at that and thought it's a massive year for me to get to City, improve and show what I'm capable of in a year.
A year is a long time, as we've witnessed over the course of the last 11 and a half months, because, frankly, we didn't think we'd still be playing Premier League football on, the 26th of July, and the season isn't yet done for Manchester City, but it will be done today for a massive majority of the Premier League sides. It is the last day, and whilst Norwich is definitely bottom and Manchester City know they're going to finish second, there are a few things to sort out in the Premier League, so we're just going to briefly let you know about what at least to keep your eye on, certainly if you're getting text alerts whilst you're enjoying Manchester City against Norwich. Michael, let's start with the Champions League, because below Manchester City, nothing is sorted. We're in 3rd and 4th place. The biggest game of the day is between 5th and 4th, and that is Manchester United at Leicester. Sorry, United are 3rd. Nobody will mind me doing them a disservice there, but Leicester 5th, United 3rd. Whoever wins that is in the top 4, whereas you've got to factor in Chelsea playing against Wolves as well. 2 of those 3.
Well, it's a big one. Chelsea v Wolves. Wolves have got things to play for, so it's a fascinating ending. And I'm sure the people watching this will be looking across at Leicester City and thinking, can they do it? Can they really beat Manchester United today? And it's a much improved Manchester United side, as we know. They are getting better, but Leicester City have really fell away. So a real fascinating ending at the top, the bottom, and that's what we want from our football at the end of the season. So that's the game. Let's see how Leicester City get on today.
Yeah, we'll bring you up to date with everything that's going on at half-time and full-time when we'll return to your screens and we're not really here. Relegation's interesting as well, isn't it, Chloe? Because you've got 2 from 3. If one of Bournemouth, Watford and Villa win and the other 2 lose, they're staying up, but it's in Villa's hands. They win, they're up.
Yeah, and they've got a tough game today, so it's exciting to see who's going to take that spot to stay in the Premier League. But it'll be very tough for all teams, and going into the final day, no one knows what's going to happen. So it's a case of just getting your work done on the pitch and hoping results go your way, really.
Yeah, Watford away at Arsenal, Villa away at West Ham, Bournemouth away at Everton. But actually, it's that last one that you've got your eye on, haven't you, Michael? Because even though Bournemouth are 3 points behind the other 2, if they win and the other 2 don't, Bournemouth are staying up.
A bit amazing escape. I actually thought Bournemouth earlier on in the season, I thought they had a settled side. I thought Eddie Howe had a way of playing. They've changed it a couple of occasions. They've had lots of injuries as well, so it's been difficult for them. But an Everton side who are inconsistent. I was at the game with Sheffield United Everton where they won last Monday. So again, big games, and that's what, you know, it's a brilliant scenario. And as we're watching as the games finish today, I hope there's a couple of twists, you know, that you can get excited about, because as a neutral here, I'm just wanting to see one go in, one not, see the clips. And we've all been there. I've been there with Manchester City on the last day against Liverpool. We didn't end up with a great result, as we all know, but no, it'll be a fascinating ending.
Eye on Spurs, another one of your former clubs. If they win and Chelsea beat Wolves, then Spurs are in the Europa League.
Well, you know, it'd be a fantastic recovery for them, because before the lockdown, we know Harry Kane, Son, so it looked difficult for them. But now they've got some results. Not always been the style of football that you would have expected from Spurs, but they're getting the results, so it'll be ideal, because the new stadium, the training ground, ground, and can they do a little bit better? So it's a club I always look out for and respect very, very much.
The extraordinary thing is that we're only about 7 weeks away from the new season starting, and we're only just finishing off this one. So in our final part of Pep Guardiola's little review of what is to come, of what has happened, here he is on what is to come next season. Who does he think will be the title contenders?
How difficult is it to retain the Premier League title, which is what Liverpool are setting out to do next season?
Of course, it's not easy because 11 years, we did it last season, but before 11 years, no team can do it. But of course, they have the weapons and the strength and the history of the club, the manager, the players to retain the title. All the other 19 teams, we are there to try to avoid it, doing our job. But it's going to happen if we improve our job. In some details, in some departments, we are working on it, and try to reduce this gap that we have, the reality we have with Liverpool. So the reality, we are happy because we beat them 4-0, but there's one game. The reality is 23.
You fully expect next season to be a titanic battle like we saw last season between the two of you?
I think will be more teams involved in there all the season. I think United will be there. And Chelsea, I think they are doing to be there. And Tottenham, yesterday saw the game against Everton, the mentality of the players were like Jose Mourinho teams they have. And Arsenal, Mikel will be there for already time, so the team is going to play better for sure. And all the teams are there. So Leicester with the same manager. So I think that's why this league is different than the other ones, because there are 5 or 6 or 7 teams they can win that for sure. In another country cannot be possible. In Spain there are 3, and in Germany there are 2, 3, 2.5, 3, but here there are 5, 6, and that makes this league so nice.
How difficult is it to retain the Premier League?
Hi, my name's Steve Parsley from the Melbourne branch, and my player of the season is David Silva. And why is that? Because he's not only player of the season, he's player of the decade. Well done, David. You'll always be a Blue.
He's been scoring beautiful goals, beautiful dribbling, beautiful assists, converting all free kicks, converting all the penalties, and he's my type of captain. Here's my nominee.
I'd like to nominate David Silva, or as we call him in Galway, Dahi Arrogate. That's his Gaelic name. He's been a brilliant servant to City since he came in 2010. He's still playing with the same enthusiasm, determination and skill as he did the first day he arrived. He's a brilliant player and he had a great season, and for that reason I'd like to give him my nomination.
Kevin is the best player in the league and even in the world. His stats and performance over the season shows the same. He truly deserves to win. All the best, Kevin.
Hi, I'm Jack. I'm from the official supporters branch in Melbourne, Australia. This year my vote for Etihad's player of the season is going to number 17, Kevin De Bruyne. He's been a star for our team, both for goals and assists, but his decision making and the passing through the midfield has always given our team a chance in really tough matches. Come on, City!
My name is Joel Rodriguez. I am a member of the Goa Supporters Club in India. I think KDB should be the player of the season this year because he's the most consistent player that we've got. Every time he plays, he makes things happen out of the blue. He is always there. He's the focal point of every attack. He's running around. He puts his heart and soul in every game that he plays. The most selfless player I know. He's out there playing for the team and not for himself.
mancity.com/citizens. That's how you vote for your player of the season. And those are the final 3. Kevin De Bruyne, Riyad Mahrez and David Silva. And it is on that last name that we finish our coverage before we throw you to commentary, should you be watching it. And don't forget, you can watch this game from midnight UK time on City Plus. David Silva, the captain today. I imagine, Natalie, that you are considering all the possible scenarios where there's David Silva having not already scored in the game, some sort of final minute penalty where he might get the opportunity to step up. I appreciate only in front of 300 people, but round off his career here in the Premier League, at least with something special.
That gives me flashbacks of Stuart Pearce. Do you remember when he was retiring and then he missed that penalty right at the end? So hopefully not. You know, hopefully it's going to be a wonderful game with lots of goals. I'm sticking with the prediction that I had before the game, and I'm sticking with 4-0.
And Chloe, this is where you come in. And earlier on, you thought 4-0. Still with 4-0?
Yeah, I'm sticking with 4-0 today. I think plenty of goals and exciting football.
And Michael, what do you make of today's game? Because there is a sense, isn't there, that if there's an early goal, it could, be half a dozen, just as a suggestion?
Well, I've gone for 6-0, as you know. I've gone for 6-0. I've gone right out there. I just think it's a strong side. It's a Norwich City who are a little bit fragile, but it's all in the start for Manchester City. Big games ahead, so set the tone, really go for it, really show David Silva, and let's see a David Silva goal, and 6-0 would be fantastic.
At the very least, and here he is leading out his side. We're back at half-time, then at full-time as well on We're Not Really Here. But just to leave you with a taster of something else you can enjoy on City TV, as well as a whole gamut of excellent City documentaries.
Primer recurso que tenemos, ¿no? Siempre con la pelota en la mano.
El otro entrenador venía y le decía, ese niño tiene manera y ese niño va a llegar lejos.
El padre siempre decía, este me retira a mí, este me retira a mí, al final
Este no va a ganar dinero nosotros para comprar un chalet.
Periódico yo y papel y le hacía como una pelota y lo ponía aquí fuera a jugar.
Es uno de los jugadores más talentosos que ha dado el fútbol español, sin ninguna duda.
Yo cuando estaba en Barcelona decía, oh, qué bueno es este tío, cómo me gustaría tenerlo.
De mi tierra, ¿no? Aquí nací, me crié. Pero que al final te hace a ti como jugador.